Hi everyone, Professor Brandt here. For 253, when we do medication problems, whether it's in a regular test or for your medication calculation exam, which will be held in the beginning of the course, which you have to score 100% on, no different than 251. One of the differences is this time you're going to be required to show your dimensional analysis actually in your Canvas question. So what this video is going to show you is how to actually enter the dimensional analysis right into your question. So you will see a question much like the ones you saw in 251. These questions that I'm showing you as a practice, you will have the opportunity to practice these in Canvas. I will put up a couple other practice tests just so that you can try them to get accustomed to putting in the documentation. So that is going to make it so that you don't have to turn in that scratch paper. It is also going to make it so you don't need scratch paper. You'll just need a calculator. So when you get your question, it'll be the same like the rest of the questions. It's going to ask you your question. It's going to tell you where to round it to. It's going to tell you what your answer should be in. The thing that is new for you is you have to look and put the calculation in there, or the actual dimensional analysis equation. So in order to put an equation in the large square, you're going to need to hit the 3 dots for the more, and you're going to need to go to this symbol down here, which is the symbol of the square root of x, but it is actually for insert math equation. So once you click on that, you're going to get a screen pop up. It is going to cover your math problem, and that is okay. As long as you hover over it, right click, you can move it around. That's not going to be an issue. This looks a little confusing, but understand it's just for dimensional analysis. So basically there are only 3 buttons we're going to use. We're going to use the fraction one, we're going to use the times, and we're going to use the equal sign. So with any of your math questions that you read, we're always going to start out with an equation, and that equation is going to be what we want. In this one, we want how many mLs will I drop to administer. So I want to know my mLs per dose. And then I have my equal sign. And I know that the next one is also going to be an equation. And then on the top, I'm going to put my mLs. What else I know about there is there are 2 mLs. And in each 2 mLs, I have 125 milligrams. Then I need to get rid of my milligrams. So I know my next equation, the top is going to be milligrams. So I have 160 milligrams per dose. $160 times 2 gives me 320 on the top of my equation. And it gives me 125 on the bottom. And that is going to give me a numerical answer of 2.56. Now that is my equation, so I insert my equation. However, that is not my answer, because your answer needs to be how many mLs will you draw up. So if you put your cursor at the end of your equation, and you can enter it once or twice, and you're going to use that same number and type in 2.56 mLs. And then you hit next, and that is going to be that. Now, this one I have not disabled going back, so if I wanted to go back and I said, oh, I don't know if I like that question, it would come back up to me. It looks a little weird, but give it a minute to load. And let's say I completely messed this up. You don't have to start over. If you hover over it and click once, it will ask you if you want to edit the equation. If you edit the equation, it will come back up here, and you can edit it and insert the equation, and then you can change the answer if that's the problem. So the next question, the same thing. 3 dots for more, enter my equation. I don't like where it pops up because I can still see in the gray my answer. So I'm always going to start out with what it wants to know. It is asking me, what is the hourly rate? My answer should be in mLs per hour. So mLs per hour is going to go in that first equation. And then, of course, the equal sign. And then I'm going to look at my question, and I want to know mLs per hour. Now, because I'm looking at mLs per hour, we remember the Tubing drip factor is irrelevant and we're not going to use it. I do not have mLs in my question, but I have liters. So I do know that I need to convert to liters. So, but mLs has to be the top. So there's 1,000 mLs in 1 liter. And then I know the next thing is I want 2 liters to go in over 4 hours. My equation is done because if I cross out the liters, I have mLs per hour. So on the top of my equation, I'm going to have 2,000. And on the bottom of my equation, I'm going to have 4. So when I do my math in my calculator, my numerical answer is going to be 500. I'm going to insert that equation. Then I'm going to put my cursor at the end of my equation, and I'm going to realize that it has to be in mLs per hour. So I'm going to enter 500 mLs per hour. And then I'm going to go on to the next question. Same thing is going to happen. You're going to hit more. You're going to hit your equation. Move your equation out of the way so you can read it. Start out with your first equation, and you want to know what you're doing. IV infusion rates, hourly rate. It is mLs per hour. And then you're going to go along and you're going to fill in what you know, right? You're going to do your regular dimensional analysis on here. Putting those multiplication signs in between. And remember to make sure that you end up in the right thing. And what I mean by that is we are in minutes and we need to be in hours. So now I have finished, and the only things I have left are mLs per hour. So when I do my multiplication over the top, I am going to get 4,500,000. And on the bottom, I am going to get 27,000. So when I put that into my calculator, I am going to get 166.6666 forever. I know that I have to round that to the nearest tenth, which is going to come out to 166.7. That is my dimensional analysis. I put it in, and I hit enter, and I put in my answer that you would like me to grade, 166.7 mLs per hour. So same thing is going to happen. I want to know how many mLs for my dose for my D50. And what do I know about mLs? I know for every ml there's 2 grams. And I will know that I want to give 12.5 grams for this dose. So I have 12.5 divided by 2. Comes out to 6.25. That is my numerical answer. So I'm going to input my equation, and then I'm going to enter once or twice, and I'm going to put it in milliliters, 6.25 mLs. Go to your equation, move it where you can see. Look at your first equation, read your question, and see what it's asking you. It wants to know IV flow rates. My answer is going to be in drops per minute. And when I look at that equation, what do I know about drops? I know there are 12 drops in every ml. Now I know that I need to get rid of mLs, but I do not have mLs anywhere else in my equation, but I do have liters. So I need to make the conversion from mLs to liters. Now I can get rid of my liters. And I'm at hours, but I need to be at minutes, so I need to make sure to convert it from hours to minutes. So when I do my math across the top, I get 48,000. And on the bottom, I get 2,880. So when I do my math, I get 16.6666, and it goes on forever. I know that it is drops per minute, so it has to be to the nearest drop. So I'm going to get a number of 17 when I do my rounding to the nearest. Once I insert that equation, I'm going to enter so I can get a space, and I am going to do 17 drops per minute. So you have your equation box. What does it want from me? It is a question that is asking me my hourly rate in mLs per hour. And what do I know about mLs per hour? Well, the first thing I know is there's no drops in it, so get rid of that tubing drip factor. And I know that there's 350 mLs, and I want that to go in over 4 hours. My equation is done. All I have to do is divide 350 by 4, and I'm going to get a numerical answer of 87.5. I'm going to insert that equation. I'm going to go down, and I am going to get an answer put in of 87.5 mLs per hour. So this is a question that I could either bring up my thing or I could read my question. So the doctor orders Docusate sodium, 250 milliliters via NG. Docusate sodium comes 100 milligrams in 5 mLs. How many mLs should I administer? Well, the doctor ordered 250 mLs, so I'm going to administer 250 mLs. You can either do your equation and just put it here as 250 mLs. And enter it like that. Or you could just X out and type in the 250 mLs. This is one to just read your question. So on the next question we're looking at, once again, more. Enter your equation. Move your equation box where you can see your question still. Start out with your first fraction, and you want to know, it's an IV push medication, how many mLs do I draw up and administer? So I want to know how many mLs to draw up for this dose. And what do I know about mLs? I know in 2 mLs, there is 500 micrograms. And I want to get rid of my micrograms, and I know in 125 micrograms is my dose. So when I do this on the top, 125 times 2 comes out to 250, and it's 500 on the bottom. So when you do your math, it is 0.5. Now that is the numerical portion of it. So I want to make sure that I insert that equation. And I can put 0.5 mLs. Same thing, more, enter your equation. You can move your equation off to the side. You can move it down below. Probably better if you don't scroll, because sometimes Canvas does not like that. But we're looking at this. We want to know how many mLs we are going to administer for this. it is going to ask me to round to the nearest hundredth if I need to. So I want to know my mLs per dose, because I want to know how much I'm going to draw up to give this time. So what do I know about mLs? I know for 10 mLs, there's 1 milligram. And now I need to get rid of the milligrams, but there are no milligrams, but there are micrograms. So I know that in 1 milligram, there are 1,000 micrograms. And now I know that there are 250 micrograms per dose. So when I do my math, I am going to get 2,500 on the top, and I'm going to get 1,000 on the bottom. So that is going to give me a numerical answer of 2.5. When I put the equation in and I hit enter, it is going to give me 2.5, and the answer is in mLs. Here's my equation. This is for alprazolam, 2 milligrams by mouth. Came 0.004 grams from the pharmacy. How many tablets am I going to give? So I want to know tablets per dose. And I know that for every tablet, there is 0.004 grams. And I don't have grams anywhere else, so I need to convert grams to milligrams. And in 1 gram, there is 1,000 milligrams. And it is a 2 milligram dose. So when I do my multiplication on the top, I get 2. And when I do my multiplication on the bottom, I get 4. When I divide those two, I get 0.5. So that is my equation. My answer needs to be in tablets, so it's 0.5 tablets. Like I said, I will give you a few practice problems on different equations. I urge you to do those practice questions because you need to get the dimensional analysis correct in order to get the question correct on the quiz.